Good evening, all. Welcome to my channel. I want to do a little rambling tonight. That's what we're going to do. Is we're just going to talk. I do have a topic, but it's not and I haven't really. It's just something I want to talk about. And the word is motivation. What is the motivation of your belief? What is the motivation of your faith? And I'm not talking about fear. I'm not talking about manipulation. I'm not talking about things like that. For instance, I want to talk about why do you do the things that you do in your faith? When we look in the Torah, the first five books of Moshe, we don't see really, actually, the whole Tanakh, except some places, maybe in Psalms and some things that David said. We do not see much dealing with a quote unquote afterlife. Now, this video is not about whether there is one or not. I know the New Testament covers it. I know the Quran touches on it. I know a lot of other religions do touch upon that. And I don't really think that Judaism got into an afterlife until after probably some influences from Babylon and other cultures that it actually start creeping in. And you say, Mike, how can you say such? That's crazy. Well, I think Moses and the people of Israel, the Hebrews, were motivated more by the here and now than what's going to happen later on. When you realize that the Hebrews were in slavery, they were being treated very badly. They were quote unquote in hell at that time. I mean, they were treated very poorly, like all slaves are. Let's just confess the fact that all slavery is wrong. Let's bring that up forth. But they were looking for a way out of their slavery, a way out of the oppression of Egypt, out of the control of the Egyptians. So what the Creator did was the Creator gave them a out. He gave them an out of Egypt and gave them a list of rules saying, look, once you get out of this situation, if you'll follow these rules right here, you won't ever do to other people what has been done to you. You will know how to treat other people. You will know how to rightly establish leaders. You will know how to treat your neighbor. You will know how to treat those in your community. You'll know how to treat your enemies. You'll know how to deal with every aspect that the Torah has given. And you don't ever hear about Moses. You don't hear Moses saying, what do I do when I die? What do I need to do to make sure that I go to heaven? What do I need to make sure I go to paradise? Or how do I know I'll be with you on the other side? You never once heard these words from Moses. You never heard them from Joshua. You never heard them from Enoch. You never heard them from any of these guys within the Tanakh. Even in Genesis, Adam and Eve, you don't hear these conversations happening. It wasn't until much later on in the development of humanity and other religions that we hear about the afterlife being brought into the scenario. And along with an afterlife became a device of control over people. For instance, when I was young teenager, my favorite rock band is Kiss. Love them. Loved them. They were my childhood, they was the guys that I really enjoyed growing up. And my aunt took me 3 concerts, and I remember my mama asked me, "Mike, what would you do if Jesus came in the middle of you being in that concert?" And I was kind of like to myself, "Well, that's crazy," and being brought up within the church, it waned on me. It waned on me enough to a few years later, I went to this guy, preacher at that time named Bob Larson. He's completely off the chains now. But he really did a good seminar on teaching the evil of rock music. And he literally scared the hell out of me enough that I took all of my rock albums that I had at the time to the church because they were having a big bonfire for burning all of these evil influences, and I burned them. And that seemed to be the right thing to do at the time. But you know what? It really wasn't a heart issue. My motivation was fear of going to hell. It wasn't the motivation of trying to be a better person. So within a matter of 3 years, I bought all of these albums back and more. So that's an illustration of what I'm talking about. The church will tell you if you do blah, 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 you're going to hell. If you do this, you're out of grace with the church, you're out of grace. In Islam, it's the same way. In Islam, if you do this, you're doomed, you're going to hell. You won't go to paradise. If you do this, not all, but I'm saying this is the majority of what I see going on. Uh, so we see where religions draw upon fear to motivate the masses. We see the same thing going on in the world today with COVID-19. Now, first, I want to state I do believe there is a virus. I believe there is a flu like virus that's out in the world today that is really affecting a lot of people and a lot of elderly people and people that have other conditions. It's very dangerous. But what we see, the governments of the world, they're using this virus for fear. If you don't wear the mask, if you don't socially distance, if you don't wash your hands all the time, and really, if you logically think with the mind that the Creator gave you, if you wash your hands as much as they're telling you to, you're washing all the antibodies, everything that normally keeps you strong and healthy, because your body your body is designed to go out and work in the dirt and work out in the air. And these viruses and stuff actually do attach themselves to you. But your body over time, when you touch your face and your mouth, they build up resistance to these sicknesses. So every time you wash your hands as much as they say, and I do believe in washing your hands, don't get me wrong, but as much as they're saying, you're washing all the antibodies off your fingers and your hands, and you're really making yourself more acceptable to get sicker longer down the road. People that are being total isolation, when you come out, you're more in danger of a cold taking you out than anything else because our bodies are designed to live in the environments that we have. For instance, when the Spaniards came into the Americanos, and unfortunately, they gave all of these people colds and viruses and stuff that these people never had. The first batches pretty much died off. But we see over time the indigenous population developed, battled. They were able to take these sicknesses that they wasn't before. So we see that's an illustration of how our bodies work. Well, spiritually, the Creator created us in such a way that he don't mind. He's not concerned with the fact that you may question dogma, that you may question his existence, that you may not question who is this Jesus Yeshua cat? Who is Muhammad? What is this book right here about? Who is Enoch? What is this about? Who were the Anunnaki? Who are these stories in the Sumerian text real? Could they really be the basis of all scripture that's been given to us? So the Creator is not that short-sighted. First of all, he's not human, that he gets his feelings hurt when we ask these questions. My God likes inquisitive. He likes me to search the truth. He likes me to look for light in darkness. So for me, growing up, I was controlled by fear. If I questioned Jesus, I was going to hell. If I questioned the church, I was going to hell. If I did this, I was going to hell. If I did that, I was going to hell. If I didn't share my faith and give my testimony, I was going to hell. So it finally came to a point spiritually for me that I had to say, okay, this is more of a control mechanism than it is anything else. And what I did was is I just started reading scriptures and reading truths on my own with my logic, the mind that the Creator gave me, and started seeing inconsistencies in all of the dogma that I was reading. No, I'm not saying all religions are wrong. I'm not saying that, I'm just saying there's truth in all of them, and there's falsism in a lot of them too. There's false, there's good, there's light and darkness in all of them. So back to the original question, what is your motivation? Is your motivation an afterlife? Is your motivation to do good so you'll get more on the other side? I know, in Islam, the famous thing is 70 virgins and all this stuff. It's a hadith, it's not in the Quran. But we see that a lot of people do things not for this side, but for the other side. And how silly and how awful that is all if all you're concerned with, all that you care about is the other side. What happens if you live your whole life worried about the other side and you get over there and it's nothing like you thought? Maybe there's not another side. Maybe it's totally different than what you thought. And you get up there and you see all Muslim people and Sikhism and stuff, and you're like, but Jesus, you said we were the only ones. So you see what I'm saying? Your preconceived notions about what's going to happen on the other side. I know we have people who say they've been to the other side and everything. Fine. Their experience was for them, and I get it. And I'm not knocking it. I don't know. I've never been to the other side. I don't know what it's like. I don't even know if there really is another side. I do. My faith wants there to be, but I don't live according to that. I live now in the now to make this life a better life. I have people watching me. I have a 10-year-old at this no, I have 11-year-old at this time and a 2-year-old. I have my older daughters, all my grandchildren down in Mobile. I got my daughters up here are watching me to see me. And I'm going to tell you something. They have seen a roller coaster ride in my life. They've seen the ups, they've seen the downs. But you know what? One thing they can all tell you is I have failed in billions of ways, but I have been in total pursuit of truth the whole time. Total truth. So, what is your motivation? Are you following the 7 Noahide laws so that you'll go to heaven? Are you following Torah, the 613 mitzvot, so you'll go to heaven? Are you following Jesus and believing in him just because you want to go to heaven? I don't think the motivation's good. Nothing wrong, but I think your motivation should be to make this world that we're in now, to make our neighborhoods, our cities, our communities, our households. This is where we're failing, people. Our households are falling apart. No fathers in the home, no mothers in the home. The children are raising themselves. Everybody's working, trying to make that living, but yet nobody's raising the children. And now, what we're seeing now in the streets of our cities are these kids who raise themselves on MTV, which I loved MTV, video games, violence, drugs. These kids are coming into power now. They're going to be the adults for long. So we see the family structure has been destroyed because a lack of people caring, lack of fathers caring about their children, a lack of mothers caring about their children, a lack of leadership caring about their people, greed, corporate greed. All of this stuff is what we have going on right now in the world today. So I'll ask the question again. I know I have some atheists that watch my channel, so this is not any way against atheism. You have to have the same question. What's your motivation? What is the motivation of being a good person? Is it an afterlife? I hope not. I hope it's not. I hope it's something more than that. I hope your motivation is to be a good positive influence. If you're a believer that you're seeking the creator with all of your heart, looking for light in all the darkness, and I just hope and pray that as we walk and we step up and we be more positive people, that we can change the world and influences that we see going on right now today. So think about it. What's the motivation? What's your motivation of life, of being a dad, being whatever you do at work? What is your motivation? Shalom, and thank you so much.